Welcome to First Things First. I'm Brooke Blurt, my pronouns are she and her.
I'm Matty Mills, my pronouns are he and him. And before we get started, we'd like to acknowledge the custodians of the land on which we record. And for me and Queen Jess Mauboy, we are on Gadigal country here as part of the Eora Nation.
Yes. And for me, lonesome by myself on Wurundjeri country, part of the Eora Nation. Let's get into it.
Yo. Jess Mauboy is our first guest on First Things First. Yes. What an honour.
It is an absolute honour. Thank you for thinking of me and thank you for having me today.
Well, the last time we had you on, it was on our previous podcast, Not So PG.
Yes.
We feel like we've grown up a little bit since that moment. We were talking about
so
how
have I.
I love it.
A lot.
I feel like, you know, you get to a certain point in your life and you want to have deeper conversations and you sort of feel like you know yourself a little bit more. For you, it has been nearly 20 years since we introduced you on Australian Idol.
Yeah.
Looking back on that, like, what does that feel like?
Oh, you're taking me right back, Matty.
Yeah, we're going nostalgic. We're going back.
We're going 2 decades, okay? No, honestly, when I think about being a super young teen, deep diving into such a mega industry for me, it was completely different. I mean, growing up in Darwin, barefoot kid, you know, very different lifestyles to, you know, coming to Sydney, a big city, and being 16 years old was really scary. But I learned a lot. I learned really quickly. I almost kind of thank God that I grew up in a small town because a small town has its time and its space and has its ways. And culturally too, I was so infused on Larrakia country with biggest mob, you know, people and community. And so I felt very safe and secure. And I think coming out of that bubble allowed me to bring that spirit and that time to a big city that ran so fast paced. And so, you know, there were moments where they were like, okay, just hurry up. I'm but this is my time. This is how I go, you know. And so trying to remain that in such a fast pace, I'm really proud of myself for remaining that way because I think you can get caught up a lot. And so I always constantly have to remind myself, remember where I'm from, remember who I am and where I come from and never forget that. And so, you know, that motto or that saying has really stayed with me, you know, since then.
I feel like that is something that you've done so well, is be authentically yourself and hold on to where you come from and who you are.
It's scary because you can get caught up. You can get caught up. And luckily for me, I didn't have the social media that we have today. So it was a different pace. Like I was in front of cameras and we still kind of remained sacred or private to what we have now. It's more kind of, you know, everything is
out
everything
there,
and take a picture of everything and post it on everything. And so I still have a lot of my stuff, you know, not that that's not okay. You're allowed to do whatever suits you best, I think is really. But I think me growing up in a time where I could kind of keep things to myself and remain that way just because it's healthy for me. You know, sometimes I feel like really stressed and anxiety about having to post everything and kind of a little bit hard on myself that I haven't posted, you know, on my personal life. And then a part of me was like, no, but that's healthy for me.
And
you know?
sacred.
It is
sacred.
I think I've really learned to be kind to myself, to be like, you know, well, I do that in music enough. And when I go out and I do meet and greets, I am that way. I'm very honest and I'm very truthful. When I have talks or, you know, group chats and, you know, friends or family, I remain truthful. But when it comes to social media, there's a little bit of give and take. And, you know, there's certain things that I will post about my internal life. But then I wouldn't go too far, you know, because it just saves me. Yeah.
I love this, like, poet or like this writer on socials, actually on Instagram. Her name's Alex Earl, and she writes the most amazing like quotes and poems and stuff like that. And she said, like, my piece will just look like just living my life, like just like, you know, like, and you know,
I love that.
Yeah, and your piece just looks different, and it looks different to anyone. And there's kind of like an on and off switch between your lives, I guess. Like when you're home and you like get back on country, you're like, oh my God, I need a rest. Like I can just like say and do anything and not have to worry about being cancelled or like saying the wrong thing or doing the wrong thing and upsetting people and strangers. But then, you know, when you're constantly on, which is what your industry is like, especially the music industry, like I can imagine the exhaustion really about having to be on all the time, and then if you're not on, people misconstrued that and take that and like run with it and stuff. We were just talking about that earlier.
What is she doing? Or,
Yeah.
you know, like, why isn't she out? Or does she have something to hide? You know, there's totally, Ceci, I get that. And even just watching you on your stories and that really inspired me, because I ended up going the last few weekends. I've actually taken multiple trips up to Darwin and made that time and made that effort to get on country and be with Mob. And
do you feel better for it?
Always.
Yeah.
Always. And actually I got on that plane and I started bawling my eyes out.
Why is it always on planes?
Because it's that real like your little moment, and you're just thoughtful and it all comes rushing in, and you know, like you're doing that last minute text and you're like, I love you, I'll see you soon. And then it just hits, you know, it hits that heart real hard, and you start, you know, thinking about when you're going to next see them. So you don't, there's that thing of like, you long for that being in that safe space, or where you're really known, or where people really get you.
Yeah, exactly. Why is it always on planes though? Like I'll watch any movie on a plane and I will be bawling.
It's the pressure.
The air pressure.
It's the air.
The cabin pressure.
Oh gosh.
But I feel like, Jess, you've been authentically yourself since we met you on Australian Idol years and years ago. Now that series is coming back on air. What does it feel like to see that? Is it a lot of nostalgia? Is it a lot of gratefulness, or what is it?
How has the show evolved, really?
Yeah.
Like, how has the show gone, like, from that era to, like, now?
You know, I don't think it has changed drastically. I think the way that it's backed and supported has changed tremendously. I think the revenue or the drive from different platforms that really keep it afloat and how we're seeing it is completely different. I mean, you know, with all the social media, we only had one camera following us around and then recording that and then putting that as a package. So now you got multiple platforms to like generate through and, you know, tell everybody. Whereas when we had it was a TV show. It was like everyone coming together. You know, you didn't have to go into socials to know it was.
At the height of TV.
Yeah, it was like waiting. It was like we waited. You know, it's like there was time and there was waiting time to be able to do that. And like, I think that brought that fan base of like untouchable almost kind of thing. And now I think the access is so broad that, you know, you can watch it from anywhere, but it still has that essence of seeing it for the first time, and it's raw, and you're either going to get whatever advice is on the spot. I just feel like, you know, having Marsha at the time, Mark Holden and Carl Sandilands.
Oh, Kyle, gosh.
Right? So
he hasn't changed.
It was ruthless. I mean, it was a time where it was ruthless, and whatever was said on the spot was what it is. Like you didn't have to hold back.
People didn't think before they spoke back then.
No, I think there's a little bit of caution. You're kind of walking on eggshells because you know there's a way of saying things these days, and a little bit cautious. And I think that's a good thing. I think we've evolved in how we speak to each other and how the respectfulness of how we view each other, and we have to acknowledge that because all of us are all different, you know, and live differently and speak differently, and you know have different mannerisms. So we're
and come from different backgrounds as well.
Coming from different backgrounds.
Yeah,
that's
like
right.
I think there's a good thing about that, but then you notice like the people that are kind of the ones that go against that. Say like Kyle per se, like he's loved and liked for so many different reasons, but he's also like on the opposite of that. I don't want to say
He's
hated.
a polarizing figure.
Well, that's it.
Totally.
But they're the ones you got to have like, I guess, like on a panel, like the ones that are like that can be that compassionate, really great, put myself in your shoes, I was once there kind of vibe.
Yes.
And then you got to be the ones that are like harsh and critical, which makes a
yeah.
balance, which can be really hard to find, like, you know, penniless and
which we all would have learnt like from our parents. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
Like, it's,
That's
it's being
the hard
judged by our
truth.
parents.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
one's like really, really hard, and the other one's has to play soft. You know, because
good cop, bad cop.
that's right. But I agree, and I definitely copped a lot on the show from Kyle, but I also took it in a way that it would probably be my parents as well, kind of looking at me and going, you know, after a little competition I would have done, my dad would have been like, you know, Bub, you didn't sound too great singing that part. Maybe you got to work on that, you know.
Yeah.
And so I had learned criticism. And, early in the stages of growth. So going on that show really, it wasn't anything new, but I think being in front of cameras and being dolled up and then knowing that millions of people were going to see me for the first time was different, and the expectations and the judgment that was going to be really, really cut up into bits and pieces. But now I look at it and I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I had the harsh critic and I had, the angel critic, because both really taught me of like what I feel is going to be my most. My most.
My most.
I'm doing that. I keep doing that.
Most and both. I love it. My most.
combining words. I do that too, hey?
She does it all the time.
Or
and we just roll like it never happened. Just keep on
I
rolling.
learned that from you, Susie.
Yeah, I know. Or I'll say like a saying where like, you know, like a analogy or something, but it'd be like backwards. Like
Yeah. Proper. I love it. We just keep rolling like it never happened. It's good.
Just making up
That's
words.
how we go.
our own blackfella language. That's what I mean. There's blackfella
Absolutely.
math and then there's blackfella language.
Yes, and we get it. We get it.
Totally.
But
That's it, I think I had the balance of both, growing up, and it's really allowed me to have the work ethic that I have today, and the mindset of who I want to be and continue to be that singer-songwriter and performer on stage. And so I've had that all kinds of different experiences and judgment upon me.
Yeah.
For,
I can only imagine
for 2
like
decades.
Yeah, 16 and then when I first went into the media, I was 23. So I was much older than, I guess, your experience. But I can, imagine, like, I'm established in my morals and my values. Like, I'm where I want to be kind of, I'm not there yet. But, like, I knew what's right and wrong. And not saying you didn't at 16, but, like, you're still establishing yourself and you're still finding and navigating the world. Like, it would be really hard to be thrown into the spotlight and then kind of have to sink or swim kind of vibe, and especially in this industry, like it's so crazy. Like, how do you even define success in that? Like, is a success like getting an album straight away? Like, like it was be such crazy times. Like, I can only imagine as well, like the progression that we've had in society over 10 years, where we are trying to be more inclusive and we're trying to be more diverse and we're trying to come from a First Nations lens and a perspective. Yeah. It's like I can't even imagine that type of pressure at 16 years old. Ooh. Like that gives me like it gives me goosebumps, but it makes my fanny clench up. Like it literally makes me like clench because I'm like, because
my booty hole.
Literally my booty hole's like. But like, just like when I think of my 16-year-old self, just per se, and I know you probably go back to that moment because it's like, fuck, I've made it, like I'm here. But like I was 16, I was living out of home. Like I was year 11, living out of home, not even having my license, had no support systems. Like I couldn't imagine. I mean, lives are so different, but I just think like mentality-wise, how did you deal with all that pressure? Like how did you even process it? Was it just felt like you were kind of having this like out-of-body experience back then? Like
I really think that being able to control that really stemmed from, and I'm going to get really personal right now, but I really do feel like it stemmed from domestic violence. I grew up, being really young and being surrounded by domestic violence, a lot of alcohol abuse as well. And so I think being a very, very young person and seeing that go down, I think you don't have control, really. The only thing that you can control is yourself and protecting yourself and making sure that you're in a safe place, the people that you love are in the safe place. And that's the only thing that I can do. So I think when I think about coming into this different world of like, you know, sparkle and glamour, but then there's sharks, and then there's, you know, people will tell you what to do and, you know, create naiveness into you or belittle you.
Or lead you astray.
I already had that courage instilled me from having witnessed that as a young age with those situations of being young, you know, with my sisters and my parents. And so I really carried that. I carried that bigness into a world that felt almost the same as domestic violence.
Well, it's a different type of abuse, right?
It's completely, but also the feeling of feeling little and feeling made to feel alone and made to feel there's no one better, you know. It's like, you know, that crept in a lot of the time in the music industry, and I just kind of stayed away as much as I could. You know, I'd show up to events and I'd be like, all right, I'm tired. I got to go back to my hotel.
Space.
It's creating, you know, it's using that technique and using those tips and advice from, you know, from home and bringing that into this, you know, big space and going, you know what, I'm strong. I can say no, and I can make those decisions and physical decisions and be smart. Be smart, you know. So taking street smart into a big city.
Well, you stepped into the industry with a lot of lived experience already as a 16-year-old from what your home life was like. But if we think about now, we think about 2 decades on nearly.
Yeah.
It is a long time since then. You've established yourself as one of our lead entertainers in this country and somebody who has basically knocked it out of the park in every field that they put their you know, energy into. Yeah. You are about to release your 5th, is that your 5th studio album?
Yeah.
Yours Forever.
Yeah.
It is a new era for you. It feels like you're taking control of, you know, your life. And it feels like you're being more raw and more open than ever.
Thank you.
Is this album cathartic in a way for you?
Yeah. I think, and thank you for saying those beautiful words. I really respect that and appreciate both of you, because you also have been inspiring and listening to your stories and who you are and who you've become. I'm going to get emotional. But there's nothing like seeing, you know, Mob strive and be the best that they can be. And particularly in the world of many opportunities and a place where you can be whatever you want to be as long as you put your mind and your struggles to that, because it's real. And so thank you both for being that light and being that inspiration and giving all of us that when we listen to you, giving your world experience. When I think about this record, Yours Forever, I think empowerment, I think self-reflection, I think self-doubt, I think storytelling. You know, I feel embracing my personal life, and I acknowledging that truth is important to oneself. When I think of this record, I think sharing, and I think being able to explore and allow others to have access to exploring themselves. And so I'm proud. When I think of this 5th studio album, it's not just a 5th studio album, but I've encapsulated time and space in my life, and I'm going to be able to look back at that and stop time. Yeah. You know, like go back in time in a way, you know, but also faith and bravery and people that have allowed me or have taken the journey with me to be that. There's a song that opens up the record
Oh,
called
I was
Yours Forever.
just about to talk to you about this. This song. I just have to get my excitement out about this. So this song is the opening song. It is a bookend to your album. It is the start and the finish. There is an intro and an outro, and it's the title track to your album.
Well, it's like a book, right? Like a prologue, epilogue, right?
Oh, Sissy, I love that you said that. Thank you.
Haven't heard anything like this from you. It is soul-bearing. It feels like it is you, to your core and just putting it all out there. It's a deep one.
I feel like that was the major shift because I was able to do that, very briefly on Hilda, my fourth studio album. But I didn't really get to go beyond in the sense of how to experience music differently with people I've never, ever worked with, but instill trust in them to be able to share my knowledge, vice versa. I think till the sun burns out, till the sky falls down, till the choir sings loud, heaven on earth now in the next lifetime. When we lock eyes, I'm yours forever. And you'll be mine, so...
And that song is my wedding song. It is my wedding song and you're singing it.
But I remember working with Stas Fuego and Shungudzo, who are, such just music geeks, They're just full of passion when it comes to music, but also, have lived a life in music and have their own experience. And so this was probably one of the fourth or fifth song that we were writing together in Melbourne, and I just so happened to feel like this kind of rush of I want to write a hymn. I want to write something that felt anointing or like the highest of the highest, where you feel like you're floating, or where you feel like you're in a sacred place. Where you feel your most self and you can say whatever. And yours forever, I didn't even mention that yet, but I remember thinking the feeling of till the sun burns out, till the sky falls down, whether you interpret that into falling into night or when it breaks, when the clouds break and you see sky and there's stars. Maybe, it's looked at spiritually. Till the choir sings loud, meaning when they get to release emotion or release their pain or rejoice their celebration, whatever that means to you. Till the choir sings loud, heaven on earth now, whatever that means to you. But this sense of being in a space where it feels so painful, but feels I'm embracing what's ahead that could be greater.
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanted to write a song that just felt so empowering, that left you in a state of this never-ending kind of limbo, which is you're kind of stuck somewhere, but it feels good because you can make something new again.
Yeah.
And so there's this whole compilation of feelings and ways of moving forward and staying in time and going back to a moment that felt crazy, but it's led you to something greater.
I think what really got me emotional about this song is the fact that if you love someone or something, or you connect with whatever it is that much, and that whole idea of in the next life, look you in the eyes, and that we had something.
We have something. We have something
still, and you don't know, but it's there. It's like, that to me is super powerful.
Yeah, or that never goes away.
Yeah.
So in time, it just either gets greater, or it better. It only ever gets greater. And for me, the process of writing was it wasn't like I need a song for the charts or I need, something to sound like this because that's the production at the moment. No, it was just about, working with Nick Littlemore, working with Shungudzo, working with Maisha, working with, some these incredible people that have inspired me, but I've never been able to really collaborate or just reach these people that I didn't think was possible. So I created for myself what I thought was impossible and made it possible. And so, talking about a new era, challenges or struggles, this was the most struggling record, but also the most empowering that I've ever felt in a whole body of work.
Last time you were here, Jess, we did Deadly or Gammon.
Yes,
gonna
which
do
I
it.
loved. I had the best time.
Yeah.
I think it's the best game,
It's
and
fun.
a lot of people need to play it and need to learn from this game.
We wanted to bring this segment into our podcast each time a guest came on.
Yeah.
And so you're kicking it off for the first time on First Things First.
Woo, woo.
Let's
Last
go.
time you sang Deadly or Gammon, but
I
it's up to
did.
you.
You don't have to do that if you
don't.
don't want. That's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
we don't have enough money to pay for the singing
Okay.
fee.
We're on a budget, girl.
For free today.
Mates rates, eh?
Okay,
Yeah,
right.
mates
Only
rates,
for you,
yeah.
Mom. Nobody else.
Oh, stupid.
All right. Well, here we go. Deadly or Gammon. So, Crocs with socks.
Oh, Gammon, because I don't have any.
Crocs in Darwin? Deadly.
Swimming with Crocs? Yeah, no. Sure.
People standing up and singing at your concert, like really getting into it.
Deadly. That's deadly. Like when
Do you
I see
like that? Or when they
I
would
get
say real-
excited.
Yeah.
No, Sissy, yes. I just get so hyped about that because literally I see Moab like singing every lyric and not stop.
Can I ask a quick question about this? When you look out to the audience, when I'm on stage and I'm performing in theatre, when I look out to the audience, it's like a blur. I don't really see them. Ready? I'm like, you're like, and
The
then
abyss.
afterwards, you would never notice who's there.
Right.
In a concert, when you're looking out, are you in the moment and seeing each individual person, or are you thinking, what's that note I got to hit in a minute?
No, honestly, there are moments where I've accidentally like missed my lyrics because I've looked at someone
Yeah,
and
real
they're like
stuck.
picking their nose or like and I've like literally missed my lyric because I'm like, oh shit, you made me miss my lyric because you're
For
there
that
picking
booger?
up your nose. So
Okay.
it's really hard sometimes to be focused. But a lot of the times I try and remain, because, you give off the vibe,
Yeah.
it's you, people coming to see your show to
Yeah.
gain a vibe and to gain clarity. And so for me, it's my responsibility to sing the story and share those emotions. So yeah, like a lot of the times it's you either get the nose pickers
Yeah.
or you get the sing-alongers,
Yeah.
singing every lyric.
Yeah.
Or the ones like literally crying, bawling their eyes out, and you're like, what are you crying for? I'm singing a happy song. So there's a mixed thing, and so it can be confusing. It's just me. It's my responsibility to stay focused.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's deadly until they start crying. There's Gammon.
Exactly.
What about hot chips dipped in a sundae?
Oh, I think that's pretty deadly. I like to experiment, so
Macca's
I like
chips.
that. Yeah,
Yummy,
Macca's chips with
McFlurry.
McFlurry or soft serve.
Soft serve for me.
That's
but
the same
yeah.
thing. Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Sissy, I'm with
Love
you.
Sunday.
So I've got I'm really getting off topic here, but I've got a special skill that I can eat a McFlurry before I leave the drive-through.
Shut up!
I swear, they hand it to me out the window. Chon. I'm telling you.
Too fast.
Oh, ice cream and me, it's like I
Too
want to
fast.
eliminate it. It's
You
gone.
what do you say? Disintegrated.
Yeah,
It's
seriously.
gone.
Gone.
I'm
See
the
ya.
type of person who is like, ice cream
up.
needs to be eaten quickly.
You don't
and
get brain
fast.
freeze.
I don't care. It's going in. It just keeps going.
You know what he
would
does?
get a
He just,
headache.
I reckon he would just tip the thing. Gone.
No, by
Down,
the time
not
they
even
br-
touching the
By
sides.
the time they bring back my change, I've already eaten half of it. Thank you. Yep. Done.
See ya.
Yeah.
Well, the next time I want to see that because that is
It's good.
Guinness
You're so
World.
funny.
What do you call it?
Guinness World Record.
Ah,
yeah.
Actually, I have a Guinness World Record. You want to know what it is?
Please share.
Longest on-screen kiss. 5 minutes for 15 seconds.
Oh,
I know.
I gotta watch this back.
So fucking
I
funny. I
love
didn't realize
it.
it the other day. I was like, oh my God, I have a Guinness World fucking record.
Yo,
unless someone's
sissy.
beaten me.
Wait, do you have the record? Like, have they sent it to you?
I'm gonna look.
We need to
at
get
this.
it to you immediately.
We
do
do.
a presentation.
All right,
That's
We gotta,
amazing.
we gotta make an award, like
Yeah.
a big plaque.
Yeah.
With that,
Like a
that
bachelor's
image.
degree, like on the back of my office.
Jess
you know?
is over here getting plaques for selling millions of records, and you're getting plaques for kisses. I have nothing.
What are you good
you
for,
one.
eh?
No.
That's good.
McFlurry.
McFlurry. That's gonna
Yeah,
be the next one.
That's the next one.
That's what's up.
Oh,
All right,
fuck.
what's the next one?
Okay. Okay, Deadly or Gammon, salty plums.
Deli.
Yes. See, I spoke to a black fella and they were like, don't see it.
Boy,
like,
I'm going to hide because that black fellow was probably me.
It was you!
It was you. You don't like soda plums?
I don't know what the big rave is.
That's you.
Because it's sour, and then you get that red. You know, you can really spot if someone's been like having soda plums. You'll be like, "They're soda plum."
But see, I feel like
fingers.
it's you mob
Soda
because
plum
look,
fingers.
Noongar, Perth, and Darwin, right? Like Larrakia mob. For me, sitting here on Gadigal country, I just don't see why salty plums are a thing.
We'll get
People
you on
ship
it.
them in.
Yes,
Shari
I
Sevens
know.
has a cupboard full.
I know. She brought me in some when I was away for too long.
Boy, that's just
It's
wild.
either Soddy Plums or Paul's Iced Coffee. Do you guys Paul's Iced Coffee? Or, you know, like
No, but
some
I know
kind
what
of
it
version?
is. But, no, but and the other thing for us is even that dry mango as well.
Oh, dry
you know?
mango, yes,
Yeah.
Sissy. Yes.
I'm trying to get into fruit lately.
We'll get you dry fruit. Yeah,
Yeah,
We'll
dry
get you
fruit.
them Soddy Plums. Ooh.
The next one for Deadly or Gammon is leaving someone on red on your phone.
Always.
Oh, yeah.
That's deadly.
That's deadly.
Yeah, that's deadly. Let them think about it.
Yes, oi. Have I actually ever done that?
Well, I have. I mean, I'm not afraid to say it. Like,
Okay.
you know what? If
I left
they're
them on
asking
red for
stupid
about a year.
questions, if they're asking
Actually,
stupid
I have
questions,
done that. Oh my God, anybody listening to this right now, they're going to be like, shut up, that bitch. She always does it to me. No, that's proper me.
You'll read it, but you'll mentally reply in your head, but you don't type the message out.
Yeah.
That's what
and you
I
know what? And
always
if that
do.
doesn't travel telepathically, well, that's their
That's
problem.
their problem of mine. Hey, I'm taking that with me. Yes, embrace that.
All right, the next one is leaving the toilet lid up when you flush.
When you flush, leaving the
So,
toilet.
so you've just done a gunner.
Yeah.
And you
Girls don't do that, Maddie.
Oh, of course
Don't
they
do that.
don't.
No,
Yeah,
no
of course
gunners.
they
No
don't.
gunners over here.
Yeah.
Nah, rainbows and glitter. Glitter.
So, yeah. So done a
You've
gunner.
got done a gunner,
put
and
your
then
lid up.
and then you're flushing, but you're not closing the lid.
Oh, I
And
do
your-
that.
And your toothbrush is on the bench next to the toilet.
Well, my toothbrush is
Is in a
far
cupboard.
away from my toilet.
In the safe. No.
But yes, I've heard of this.
Yeah.
They always say because, you know, like, what do you call them? The
Particles.
particles go
Yeah.
everywhere. So I mean, I only learned that last year.
Yeah, same.
But because of there's a distance, So I think now that I know, I think it's I shouldn't.
You reckon not? You reckon not deadly or gammon? Dirty. No,
Dirty!
that's dirty.
Yeah, gammon, I should say, because I've
Gammon.
learned, you know, now that I got to put that lid down.
But what about when you do those phantom poos and they just go,
Wow. Wow.
I can't do
This is-
phantom poo.
Phantom poo, that is
I'm
a-
going to use that. What about that phantom poo?
Is that what you call a nervous
flying
poo?
poo.
Is that like a nervous one before you go on stage? This has really gone
That's
down
quick.
the
That's
down
quick.
the toilet.
That's quick, that caca.
I feel like though in the industry you learn when you got to go, you need to do it then
gotta
and there,
go.
and then
Yeah.
you know you don't fuck
Before,
around with
before.
that. Yeah,
Do it
exactly.
before.
Yeah.
Don't muck
you're,
around.
before you're on stage doing your 2-hour set, otherwise you'll be holding
and
it.
elevate your feet. Elevate. Put a little box so
Oh.
you know when it comes down, it
Squat.
doesn't you know
Splash.
splash. elevate.
No
the knees.
airtime.
Yeah.
No. Okay, the next
Toilet
one.
humor. Fuck.
The next one here is kids at weddings.
Kids at weddings.
Nah.
So-
is a definitely no. So get the
Oh,
gammon.
really?
Yeah, no, because for my wedding I had no
Yes.
children apart from my nieces and nephews.
Oh, so no
I told
one.
everybody else's kids they can come.
Why do you think? You know what I like about kids?
And
though?
it wasn't that. It was just like I wanted to spend adult time
Who wants
with
to
my
spend
first
$120
cousins.
a head on a child? Ugh.
It wasn't even about that. I just knew like because all my cousins have big and small children.
Yeah.
But I really wanted to engage with my first cousins and
Yeah.
like actually spend time with them, which I never get to do. And it
Yeah.
was we wined and dined, we laughed, we danced, and it was just adult time,
Yeah.
you know. And it was real deadly. Like
Yeah.
so, I would say, full stop gammon for
Yeah.
me personally
Yeah.
because I got to really have time and spend time.
The good thing about children are though they're a buffer. So if you are like so like if you don't really want to
Different
talk to people,
situations,
you just start
sure.
talking to the kids.
Sure,
You're like, yeah, you know, talk about the children.
No,
You know, so
See,
if you're
this
so
pissed
for
me
instance,
off. Nah, this pissed me off.
Why
Go on
don't you
then.
just say I don't want to talk?
Yeah.
Just be like, finished.
Well, for me, kids are good buffers. Like if you're going to so for instance, if I'm going to meet the in-laws for the first time and the sister-in-law has kids, bring the kids. Because if
different situations.
Different situations.
Different situations.
Yeah.
But I think quality time
is everything.
Over
talking
in
to them
different
little
situations.
kids.
Yeah. love children, love kids.
All right, last one, Deadly or Gammon. Women making the first move to get a date.
Oh, crab claw.
Crab claw. I did. I have I think it's deadly. If you look at it differently, I think when I did it back in the day, I got my fella by crab clawing him, and it wasn't the situation that I wanted to be in.
Can I ask what the reference crab claw is?
Yeah, she just heard us go crab claw, crab claw.
Wait, are we talking about crabs
literally
or what?
sexual harassment. And
these days it would be, right?
These days it would be looked at as being very.
You'd be in jail.
I would be called out. I would be, what do they call it? Like
cancelled.
Cancelled.
Yep.
Why?
Jessica Mauboy does crab claw and is now in prison.
But in 2009, how I met my fella was going out clubbing with 8 of my girlfriends, and we played this game, Truth or Dare, and I ended up picking Dare for I felt really like.
Rebellious.
I felt ready for the world. I just come back off tour working with the young divas. Like I had, I was living.
Yeah. Yes.
And so anyway, I did it with the dare. I was like, dare. And she was like, okay, I dare you. And she goes, all right, I'm going to pick a fella and you're going to go down and you're going to crab claw him. Like you're going to literally pinch his ass and you got to do it without him knowing.
Yes.
That fella there. And I was like, which one? And she's like, that one, he's wearing white. She was like, really in detail. This fella was the only one wearing white T-shirt with blue jeans. So I made my way down. I was like really anxious because I was like, I've never done anything like this in my life. And why am I doing it now? I get down there and I realized he's surrounded by other fellas. Like, realize then
like how you gonna sneak your hand in there
like group these with these fellas, how am I gonna really trying to figure out a way of getting my hand in there to crab claw him. The next minute these two fellas like parted a little bit. I was like, there it is. Boom. My hand went in, crab clawed him, hand went back out. I ran to the other side of the club. Gammon started to order a drink because I was like, oh my gosh, I was like blasted. I was like, I can't believe this is happening. Gammon ordered my cranberry and vodka juice drink.
Yeah.
All of a sudden I feel like this wind in my ear on my right side, and it was him. Like he was literally standing there going, I know it was you, like real loud, and that wind, like his breath was like fluttering my hair, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't even know who you are. What are you talking about, Kevin? It felt like a real comedy moment, but I was like, I was really nervous. I was like, he's going to call me out. Like that was the wrong thing to do. And, he's probably going to come over and, tell me off. And they was like, I know it was you. You see all them mob? They're all my friends. They saw you do it. And I was like, that quickly. Luckily, that drink came because as soon as that drink came, I was like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Bye.
And literally ran off. But by the end of the night, I see him. He's like walking towards me. I could even remember Jagged Edge was playing Let's Get Married. It was playing. He was coming towards me. I was like, me and my girlfriend were on the dance floor and I was telling her, don't look, he's coming. She gave him a look, breaks her neck, looks back. She was like, he's coming. I just said that, bitch. Anyway, he comes up and he's like, I want to dance with you. By that time, at that point, I think he had a few drinks. I was like, oh, you drunk. I can't deal with drunkenness. And then anyway, my girlfriend was like, she literally dragged me. She's like, no, you're going to dance. Yeah. And so I was like, all right, one dance and I'm out.
We'll drop down and get your eagle on, girl.
Not really. I was big like in my space going like this. I was really in my space going, don't touch me. I don't even know you. And anyway, that's kind of that's how it happened. And then the next times that I kept seeing it was like the universe was like pulling us, it was like gravity. It was like, damn, I see you at my favorite shopping, my hangout, at the mall, at the you know, at
just
the
saw
cinema.
him everywhere after it.
This is too creepy. Like, and then, it just happened.
Oh,
But
how
anyway, that's
So
the
I
crab
need
claw
to go
story.
crab claw some
beautiful.
people.
It happens, you know.
Yeah,
Again,
you got to
I-
start crab clawing. Yeah.
I crab claw my man now when he walks up the stairs and he hates it. Like, get him all.
Oi, proper. Oi, it's why
That's
is
when
that?
you know
Why
you're
do
in
I
a
do
healthy
that?
relationship, though. If you can't walk up the stairs without covering your bum.
I do that all the time. If there's an opportunity where my man's like, you know, like butt
Vulnerable.
up, head down,
Bop.
I'm like, boop. Why do I do that? What's so amusing
you know
about
what?
that?
I feel like it's because it's so unusual to touch a place like that. Not for
Says
me.
you.
Not for me as a gay
It's
man.
sacred. It's sacred, right? But I do
Yeah.
it like just like poke him in that area, and I'm like, why am I doing that? I just find it amusing.
That is so funny. But well, thank you so much for playing Deadly or Gammon. That
Thank
was deadly, and that story is everything.
Yeah.
The last thing we want to do before we let you go
Yes.
is we're creating a segment on our podcast called Past, Present, Future.
Past, present, future.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And it really is about reflection, but also about, just understanding who we are as people, where we're at, and where we want to go.
Yeah.
So we're asking 3 questions to our guests. The first question is, what would you say to your past self?
I would say to my past self, that's good. I've never played this. This is first time for me.
Well, first things first.
First things first. First things first. What should I say to my past self? I would say thank you for making me brave. I would say thank you for making me tolerant to the future.
Yeah. Love that.
Powerful.
What would you say to yourself in this moment or now, in present?
Oh, I would say
You late, bitch.
I am. I'm always late. I would say that. I'm always late. I need to be early.
Well, you know who can't even talk about being late? This girl over here, Miss Brooke Blurton.
Boy, I'm the
It's
same.
black
See,
fella
that-
time.
That's
black
right.
fella
Divas.
time.
I say it's real. That's a real thing.
Yeah.
Like, and I say
It's
that
called
too. Sissy.
glacial pace. No, don't.
Hey, I'm with you, sis. I'm right there with you. I agree.
You know, I'm happy to wait. You know, for two black queens like you two, I'll be waiting here forever.
I would wait
I don't
for
mind.
you as well.
You ally. Thank you, my brother.
And, yeah, that's it. What would you say to your future self?
Oh, my future self is to just embrace and keep going. I think that's important. I think, when age comes into the picture, I think as society that we're living in, the judgment, you just got to keep going through it. Pace yourself, but also embrace it, I think is an important thing. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that too.
Powerful. Thank you so much for coming in today. We have absolutely loved having you in studio. You're our first guest for First Things First, and we couldn't have been more happy to have you on the pod.
Oh, I feel
Yeah.
very privileged to be on First Things First, and thank you for yarning about all things. I love coming here to yarn with you, Mob, and share feelings and go around the room and do that. I think that's really important. So thank you for allowing me to share.
Thank
Well,
you.
I think that's all we have time for today, but thank you
Yeah.
so much for listening to First Things First. If you love what you hear, leave us a rating and a little review.
And if you want us to cover anything or reach out to our socials, my handle is at Brooke.Blurton, Maddie's is at It's Maddie Mills, Jess
And
is
you can
at,
follow
Yeah.
at Jessica Mauboy.
If you want,
Yes.
if you want to see some crab clawing or some poking,
Don't. You're like, I'm
Poke you
being more
later.
personal. I think that's a wrap. That's a wrap.
That's it. It's a wrap.